Two drunk assholes talking about whatever comes to mind. We present Filler with Jack Fike and Rob Harper. Filler is Jack and my insane rambling. Finally, we wrap up our Star Wars adventure with Janet, Jack, and I sort of petering out because it got pretty late and we wanted to go to bed. But here it is. Please do note that we are extremely drunk during these recordings, so if we do sound like unintelligent fools, just forgive us.
He's not subtle in any way. He doesn't know subtlety.
Yeah.
No. There's nothing subtle about those movies.
Not his racism isn't subtle, that's for sure.
No, there's nothing subtle. Everything is on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is. There's no implication. Either it's on screen or it's not talked about at all, and you're just confused. Like it's one or the other. There's no subtlety in it. Like you can have things that are interesting, and you're like allude to them. He doesn't allude to them. Either he says it or he doesn't tell you anything. You're like, what the fuck? You have to figure it out for yourself. It's like.
So he's playing to his two audiences of either dumber than a box of rocks or so brilliant that they don't need any
Or they make up their own
clues
story that's better. That's the problem.
Poof. That's how it is.
But even so, to know about Grievous, you would have to do more research. There's nothing indicating in that movie that he's not an android, a robot.
No,
Everybody
does he have a beating heart?
That's the thing. He's got organs inside.
I think he's got I think you see that at one point where he's got either a beating heart
but it doesn't
or
make
his
sense.
lungs.
You
see
why
him
does
breathing.
he have gooey parts inside?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. All he had to do is say...
Because isn't that how Obi-Wan kills him too, is by stabbing him?
in the heart. But all I have to say is, they're led by a guy who's a cyborg. That's all I have to say. It's
Two words.
Yeah. That's Grievous. He's that cyborg that's leading them. He's so badass.
Leader, cyborg.
He just he took away all his humanity to be like that, so he could, fight better. That's all I have to say. It makes.
And
and it's actually the perfect precursor to Darth Vader.
Yeah, I think that's the point they were trying to get at, was that this is what happens when you turn
until you
evil.
told me that, I would have never put two and two.
But they should have had him at the first movie. Or first time you see him, he's got more human parts, and he gets less and less human as he goes.
And
right.
One of the Jedi chops off an arm, and you see him back. You see him come back, and he's got two arms. What the hell?
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't affect him. It's just.
I'm coming for your saber, bitch. I cut your arm off. Yeah, your mistake. You should have been my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Act 3 of the first movie. And then next thing you know, you see him again. Oh,
as cool as Darth Maul is too. There's no point to him either.
No.
He is. Grievous could have been Darth Maul, the same character, really.
Right, and that would have actually been a really cool storyline where you go.
Even in the first movie, when Darth Maul gets cut in half, it could have been Grievous, and then all of a sudden he's got metal legs. And you're like, oh, okay, he's even less human.
You're like, wow.
And if they set it up beforehand, the Jedis don't know that.
And then the whole time you're thinking, look what the dark side can do. They really can bring back life. They can keep you...
Sure, you lose your humanity, but you're still alive.
Yeah. And then when the Emperor's trying to explain that to Anakin, you're going,
sense, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
But that's subtle, isn't it?
That would have been a storyline where you go,
and a through thread, which they don't do in any of the movies. Right. None of the movies have a through thread that goes through them all. There's no theme that follows through them all. The only theme is Vader's in them all.
And it could be well, you already have you already have your guy. There he is, Grievous, and you just go, there's some point where it's too much. You need a sliver of humanity, or else you're just not a good Sith. So he's not going to last very much longer, and I need you as a replacement. And then explain why Darth Vader had, at the end, that little sliver of humanity.
Or even be Emperor's he's never going to be my replacement because he's not human. Because they're racist. The whole point of the Empire, they're all racist, right? In the original trilogy, look, they were Nazis. That's what they look like. In this, they could have been he thinks I'm using him right now. He thinks he's going to be my apprentice, but he's not because he's just a make up a race name.
He started that way, but he's just gone too far.
Make him not because he isn't human.
But it'd be cool if he had.
But even make it so he isn't human. So they're he keeps fucking himself up. He's never going to be good enough because he was never human.
He's not pure.
Yeah, that's play up on the Nazi angle too that they had in the original movies. No, there's none of that in the All of a sudden, there's like all these aliens working for the bad guys. They didn't have aliens. Like the whole point was it was all humans because they didn't trust aliens. All of a sudden, in the prequels, it's all the bad guys are all aliens except for 2. You know, like it makes no sense. And if they're not aliens, they're clones. Like clones of whatever Django is too. Like, is he just some human? He's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be Mandalorian, I assume, but it makes no sense. Otherwise, he just, for some reason, wears Mandalorian armor for no reason. He just found it. It was shiny.
Hey, this looks cool. Can I buy that? Sure, I will sell you my armor.
And now there's a whole race of guys like, we're like a warrior cast, we're like samurai. This guy just stole our armor for some reason. He gets all the fame.
We look just as cool.
If not cooler. Because the Mandalorians are wicked. Another thing they wasted, like, they don't even mention Mandalorians in the movies. Mandalorians are the coolest.
But you don't have to address every single thing.
Yeah, but they could have been, instead of droids, they could have been a Mandalorian army they're fighting. That would have been wicked. The droids were retarded.
That was a cop out because they didn't want to show death. They wanted to make everything
cute.
cute.
They tried to kitty it up, but
oh yeah,
they showed...
you had blacks who aren't humans fighting robots who are slightly more human than blacks.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, aliens fighting robots. Yeah,
and the robots were more human than the blacks.
The stormtroopers
right?
and humans, they got destroyed.
The little robots were like, "Hey, Roger, hey," and everyone was like,
I know, you're like,
they're
oh,
cute.
I can like at least
Caricatures.
What?
Yeah, but at least at one point you went, "Oh, shucks."
That's true. It's just kind of odd that they humanize the robots for some reason.
and demonize
for no
the...
reason.
Oh yeah, instead of making them just killing machines, just like
The whole point of having robots is so that you can just kill them because you don't care about them. They humanize the robots so you care about them, and then you kill them. They did the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Okay, so what was the point of having the clones, though? Like, what was
They
the
had
point?
robots. Yeah, it makes no sense.
I don't understand that. What's the point in creating a clone
No.
army? Because human death, whether it's a clone or whatever, is going to be messier than...
But why
A
clones?
robot.
Yeah, why not just make more droids? They had
Or
the
why
ability.
not just force your slaves
Or at least they
on your...
They should have explained
taken
why
planets.
clones were better than droids, which they never really did.
Right, because I don't
And they never
understand...
showed.
I don't understand why they are. Like, I really don't get it, because if I'm going to lead somebody... Like, it's like if you're taking a horse out into unforeseen territory or there's like a broken bridge or something, you always cover their eyes because what they can't see is going to be better for them. Wouldn't a droid be better for that situation?
Well,
Like,
the droids
hey,
also,
I'm
you're
taking
more
you
willing
into
to
certain
sacrifice
death.
droids than
Yeah.
clones, even if the droid... Because no matter what, clones are still
Because aren't you all... Like, I know it's not going to create great generals and great fight tactics, but aren't you going to go... Hey, you guys just storm it.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like charge and
What's
it
the
doesn't
point of
matter.
having clones? There's no point. There's
I don't
there is a
get
benefit
that.
somewhere, I guess, because they have ingenuity and stuff, but they never showed that in the movies.
No, they don't. Because
They have human ingenuity.
at some point,
They should have been
it's like the
more tactical or something, but they
naked
weren't. They
gun
acted just like droids.
brainwash. All of a sudden, oh, all right, it's time. We're just
And the way they used them, because the Jedi were generals to them, they could have been
Right.
robots. They should have been more autonomous, where they're like, okay, they're fighting on their own. They should
Right.
have been showing them like tricking the robots,
Because
where the
at
robots
that
are too
point-
stupid to fix. You know, like
at that point they might as well have been robots
Yeah.
because they really didn't do
they
anything.
didn't do anything. Jedi told them what to do, and they went and did it. Well,
Yeah.
Well, could a droid do the same thing? Some
Right.
of the droids are even better than that. Those ones with the like sticks that fought with the glowy ends. Like
And
the
a
super
droid wouldn't-
acrobatic ones
like,
that were in like the third movie.
If you think about it later on, a droid wouldn't fall for a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
droids
how
are actually
lame is
better.
that?
Yeah,
How
you're
lame
right.
is that?
Droids are actually better than stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Like there should have been a reason why the droids sucked. Either
Mm-hmm.
they're just mindless and
or just say, listen, the cost of these things is going through the roof.
it's actually cheaper to
We
make.
we need something that's a
Although-
That's
disposable.
cost effective,
But
but
you gotta
yet a
feed.
disposable
You
resource.
gotta think. You gotta feed all these.
Well,
clones.
I'm
They gotta
just
be
Yeah.
cheaper.
throwing that out
Right?
there, like the
Feeding, housing. I mean, they can't just be left out in the
Maintenance,
elements.
like healing them and like
yeah.
like at least a droid you just replace a part. Humans are
Or-
a lot harder to fix.
maybe they're like, we're sick of this system where you can destroy one spaceship and a whole droid army fails. Where
They should have been like the droids were just so mindless that they could the moment they got into like a trap they were just done. They get surrounded and they get destroyed because they couldn't think their way out of it. Where people can think their way out of it at least. They should have had some reason, but they never showed a reason why.
No, it doesn't. That never made sense to me because I'm going. If I'm going to lead an army,
Droids
which I never would in my life, I'd lead an army of robots.
Especially since you can custom build a robot to meet your needs.
Exactly.
They had robots that were flying ones. They had
stick machine guns on
the ones that rolled
it
with the
and
shields.
just
They
have
had,
a good time.
They're way better. Like there's
Because no matter, I can't imagine what creature you would meet in the Star Wars universe because we've seen,
most of them. Yeah.
well, we've seen all of them that we can, right? There's not one that a machine gun or a flying robot, they can all be taken down.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yep.
I don't
If
care.
anything, the
how
droids were the
many are
toughest because they had the
numbers.
shields built in.
Exactly.
If anything, the droids were the toughest creature in the whole universe. They either had the shield built in, or those other ones with the sticks fought Jedi one-on-one against the Jedi and held their own. That's a Jedi. Those are like the cream of the crop of fighters, and these things were holding their own against them.
So you think they're like, we need more droids. So what are we going to do? We're going to get the little cute ones that keep saying Roger, Roger. We need about 700,000 of those. Okay, we got that. What about the ones, the ninja ones that fight with the sticks? I don't like them. 3. The ones that can hold their own against Jedi. You want 3 of those. You want 700,000
Of the
little ones with
that their heads pop off.
the ones that like are rock'em sock'em robots that just wander around. you want some? They're adorable. Okay.
You like the aesthetics of them. What about the ones with the shields built in?
The ones that roll with
We'll
big
have 2
machine
of those
guns.
every ship.
Yeah, 2 per ship.
Yeah, which one was that? Where there was like...
Yeah, they roll.
And then they
roll
pop
out.
out there.
Yeah, they had big machine guns on.
Right, that would be brilliant. Wouldn't you want like a ton of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you're on the Death Star or on land.
They gotta
like,
be
that is
cheaper.
awesome.
Okay, so you get 2 of those. So you got that's 4 really good ones and 700,000 of the really shitty ones.
The little...
And then they have the flying ones that were like built in like the shitty ones, but they were actually planes. They had little heads on them. And then they're like tanks ones and like
Now tanks, you got some tanks? We could put like those stick guys, like pilot
was it
them
in
in
Cloud
there.
City that little tiny tank was just like...
just driving around, yeah.
And like going down the hallway, you're like...
Or was it? I think it was in the Death Star actually.
Was it? You're
And
like,
he's just
what
like,
the hell is
And then they almost
that?
ran into
Like,
somebody, and it like that was the when Han.
Yeah.
I think when they were escaping the Death Star, he almost ran into
And
him.
he's like delivering beverages or
Yeah.
something.
It's a male thing.
Thank you.
Would you like a tab?
Why, thank you. Tab.
But yeah, why would the tanks not just robots? Why would they have real
Right.
guys driving the tanks?
Well, how many tanks do you need?
Well,
I'll take tanks, but they have to have the little Roger robots in them. Jesus Christ!
Makes no
How did this
sense.
guy get a job? How did you get so high up in the thing?
the
None of
things,
it makes sense.
The things on the giant... Oh,
The things on the giant.
AT-ATs?
Was it a
the
peach?
giant long leg thing
AT-AT?
that they like wrap the
Yeah.
string
AT-ATs?
around. Right. Why did there need to be people in those? Like, I honestly...
Well, that was after the point where there were no more droids for some reason.
Right, but like...
Somehow the world
Again,
there's
once
no
again,
droids.
having humans run it or having droids run
There's no
it.
droids in the original trilogy. There's no other than R2D2 and like those kind of droids. There's no combat droids.
How did they kill all of them at that
That's my
point?
point. There should have been like some kind of maybe they had a virus that just like fucked them up or something. So there's a
That
reason.
would have been a really good reason.
There's
to
a
get
reason
clones,
why there's no more
right? That would have
droids.
made
Yeah.
that would have made sense to get clones.
Yeah.
Because there's some
vulnerability.
horrible.
Well, Obi-Wan, why are there no more droids? Well, Qui-Gon, we added this programming in. There'll never be. The factory cannot produce. It's called the something net worm, and we've...
No, it'll
we
figured
pass...
out a way that we just hit this button and droids shut down. So droids are useless now. We need people again.
You'll never see those droids menacing anyone.
Yeah.
They don't have the facilities
So
nor the ability
you need
anymore.
stormtroopers to replace the droids because you need an army.
And then you see him go. We can't make droids anymore. But and they look over the balcony.
Right,
You see
if
men
you-
just.
Yeah.
If
But
you
we can
saw
make
like
them.
that moment of panic or
sense.
something where it was like they found out a weakness, you know, like, but you don't.
It doesn't explain it. There's no explanation why the droids are useless. And there's no droids in the prequel as fighters. I mean, the original series, the spiders.
Hmm.
There's none. The only droids in the original series are astromechs and protocol droids.
Yeah, navigation and ones that run
Like
farm equipment.
Or farm equipment or repair droids. And none of them are combat
Doctors.
droids.
Yeah,
No
because
combat
at that
droids.
point they're all just like waste, you know?
Or just in positions where it's, who cares if you shut it down?
Right.
Like, yeah, there should have been like some explanation. Yeah, we can just shut down droids. There's no point for them anymore. There should they in the third movie they should have been like, we did it. We figured out how to stop the droids.
They're not shielded against this. It's an EM. They'll never be a threat to us ever again.
Or
Why?
just
Whole battlefields we can shut down
so
with
droids,
one man.
all of a sudden droid production is gone because there's no point. You can still have them as helpers because nobody's going to bother shutting down your helper.
Hey, protocol droid, how many languages do you speak? Well, I speak none.
Ooh, yeah, just to be a dick. It's like those TV be gone buttons.
You guys are like, stop it! I'm trying to sell my droids here.
It's because, yeah, at the end of the third movie,
That's a, what was it, King of the Cosmos voice right there.
oh,
I'm trying to sell my droids here.
But then it would be like,
but
hey,
that's like, the end of the third movie should have been like a big revelation they can shut down droids.
Uh-huh.
And the beginning of the original trilogy should have been like, that's like the common thing, like they just fuck around and shut down droids as jokes. Because it was like, oh my god, we can do it. And then 20 years later, yeah, we just do that for fun. Like, we don't even bother because it's not even funny anymore.
Yeah. Oh, shut
Like,
up.
you
It
bet-
just reached in your pocket.
3PO, you better stop talking.
Yeah,
I got my
button.
button. I got an itchy thumb.
Or it's just that, yeah, it's not even a thing. It's just like, droids stay in their place because they know they can be shut
Right.
down anytime.
Oh, Master Luke, please don't hit the button.
But like, why? Yeah, there's zero. How about this? Don't have droids in your fucking movie as combat.
No.
Right. To have them be in the first one as like an
Like,
entire army.
It makes sense that they are, because why would you have protocol droids and you didn't have protocol droids with guns? Like, it makes no sense you wouldn't, but avoid the argument by not having them. Like, it just doesn't. There's no connection between the prequels and the original series.
Oh, and I keep going back to I don't understand how having a clone army would be any better than a droid
That's the only
army.
way, is if you can defeat a droid too easily. That's the only way. That they should have said it. They probably meant to sometime.
Yeah, but
and,
you
like,
can't defeat a human easily.
Well,
Like,
you can't do it with
whatever
a
kind of
button.
clone it is. You can, but with biological warfare, you
Yeah,
can't
but
release a
That's why they wear
chemical.
helmets with respirators and shit, right? Like, and the problem with biological, you might wipe out yourself in the process. Or at least with a droid, you just, like you say, EMP them or virus them
Or, like I said, make it just a throwaway. Like, they just killed a whole battalion of clones. 2 days, you'll have another one. They're cheap, easy. We got the technology. We'll throw 3 battalions at them next time.
Right, like 3 clones, same price as 1 droid.
It's
I mean, like,
It's
not even
just a
so
throw
like depressing that human life is worth less than a droid.
Right, a throwaway line like that, though, would have made you go, oh god, this is why it's like totally more cost effective. I get it, 3-to-1. That's huge.
Yeah, either cost or uselessness. That's only.
In
But they didn't
20
need
20 years, your battle droid will be serving coffee. I'm telling you, this is the wave of the future.
Yeah.
They'll strap a little tray to his head.
Yeah.
Rolls up.
The gun. Sugar. Cream.
Yeah, there's.
It's that simple.
They never thought about the universe. Like, if it wasn't Star Wars, those movies would be laughable.
Yeah.
They are laughable
They're
in Star
laughable,
Wars,
but
they'd be like, if it was just some random series that somebody did that, they'd be like, they would never gotten that far. Like, it would,
Or, if the first 3
It'd
had
be
never
like
come
considered,
out,
like,
and
junk
episode
sci-fi.
1 was like, seriously, when it came out, was the first thing you'd seen of it, you'd go,
yeah, this is never going to be another one. Yeah.
shit. Yeah, it's absolute shit. And that's the only reason I went to see the second one, is because I was like, it's gotta be
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Like, that was awful.
And it
like,
was.
that.
It is better. It's a step up, but it's not.
No,
big
but
step.
like the second one is so unmemorable. At least the
It
first
is,
one,
actually.
the bad things about it,
You remember
make
them. You remember the pod race. You remember
exactly.
the Duel of the Fates
You
at
remember the
end,
story because
Yeah.
of all the bad things. You're like,
But the
oh
second
yeah,
one, I
and then
couldn't.
Jar Jar Binks poked his head up here. Oh yeah, so that's what happened there.
The second movie,
second
the only
one,
thing
you're
I remember
going-
is they in the arena. That's the end, right?
Yeah.
Fight at the end. And Dooku fights Yoda.
And there's something that's when
But like you say, it's a lot of love story, which who cares?
that's when the Fets first make their appearance, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't that Obi-Wan finds the clone factory, I think, in the second one?
Yeah.
Like, it's really...
Like briefly, like for a hot second, you see a lot of clones.
And Obi-Wan fights Jango Fett for like a half second in the ring.
Right. It's very like that. The second one is so.
Not very good.
There's not a moment that I go.
You're right. At least the first one's
I
memorably
do
bad.
remember
The second
this
one's
out of
just
it.
boring.
No, it was that. That's all that's remarkable to it is
Yeah.
that it was so boring that
Like,
I don't
literally,
remember
you're right.
anything.
I can barely remember the second.
The third one, at least you remember Darth Vader
The
breathing
final
for the
fight.
first time. You remember
Yeah.
that. You remember the whole
You remember the beginning and the
volcano,
end.
like fighting
Because
on
the beginning of the ship part was kind of cool. In the end, which once again they didn't explain how the Emperor got kidnapped all of a sudden, like in the beginning of this movie.
And watching Natalie Portman have the same nightmare like 20 times got really old.
Is that the
You're
thing?
like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we get it.
Yeah.
You're afraid that
But
you're going to give birth to a
guess
baby
what?
without
Every
your
fucking
husband.
mother is the same.
We get it. Okay.
I guarantee everybody who's been pregnant has those nightmares.
And it was like the whole nightmare scene where they've got like the faded out sides of it, and you're like,
it's like,
oh my god, you're ugly when you're screaming. Because I love Natalie Portman, I think she's gorgeous, but that was
She does
ugly
have,
faces, and you're just like,
And it was just the
Oh,
movie that has just way
God.
too many scenes in the Senate room. It's like, okay, I get it, Senate. Boring.
that. I think that was the third one too, where
Yeah.
you're like, okay, are you guys voting?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Voting
I'm gonna
is
turn on C-SPAN
Yeah,
and
so-
watch some other votes.
Probably more
too.
interesting.
Remember the halcyon days when they were talking trade embargoes?
Yes.
Now it's a vote in the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the third one like tried to cram the explanations for everything from the first two into one movie.
Those movies
But
are so bad.
at least it made up for the second one because you went, well, at least there's more storyline, as in a lot more storyline. Like this is too much at this point.
There was
'cause the
the third
second
one does
one-
have a lot because then it's got the Mace Windu fight.
Because the second one is when Padme and Anakin like sneak off to this
Yeah.
like forest land. And I'm going.
and they go to Tatooine too. In
Who
the second
the
one.
fuck gives a care that you guys are sitting
'Cause they
here
meet-
like making out next to a waterfall?
And then they meet.
I don't give a
They meet
shit.
his uncle and
Yeah. Oh
Aunt
god.
Beru, and it's like, who the fuck cares?
Oh god.
Which makes that relationship makes no sense either.
Like stab me in the chest. Like I can't watch this. This is so stupid. But the third one, at least you were like, okay,
Shit
I
went
see
down.
where this. I see where this came from. Then okay, I get this.
And things happened at least.
Yeah, at least there was movement. The whole isn't that where Palpatine and Yoda fought? At least that was
Yes,
something.
that's the
There was
third.
some
There's a
action
lot of
there.
fights in the third one.
There was some action with
Which
Obi-Wan and Anakin, which again was a necessary.
once
you
again,
know,
Palpatine shouldn't have been a good fighter. He was much more
No.
manipulative. Just
Right.
because you're a Sith doesn't mean you're an awesome guy with a. He shouldn't have even had a lightsaber. He should have been just like, I don't need that.
right. That should have been the whole point. That he was
He didn't need to
he
fight.
was a powerful politician.
Nobody ever knew. Nobody ever should have figured it out. And they'd be like, "Oh shit!" By the time they figured it out, it's too late.
Or when Yoda finally like figures it out, oh, I'm gonna do that. And he just like steps into a crowded room. It's like, oh, hello everyone, here we are at the party.
You
And
can't
Yoda's
just
like,
attack him.
oh,
Yeah.
God, I
Should have
could,
manipulated
but-
it, and then by the time he gets a chance, it's too late. All of a sudden, the stormtroopers are fucking all the Jedi up, and
Yes,
Right, because if you follow the first
Makes
two
no
movies,
sense.
that's like what 15 years where he's never once raised a weapon.
Yeah.
Like it has all been like
they're
mind.
like, "Ooh, we're gonna show him be a kick." No, he's not. He's kick
no,
ass in
he
his mental
shouldn't have.
abilities.
He shouldn't have because it was all mental.
Because even in the original series, he never has a lightsaber.
Right.
It's all Force lightning.
Yeah.
like
That's it.
Darth Vader picks him up and throws him down a like you're. If
You-
this
why-
was
yeah,
some
why couldn't he-
powerful,
yeah. All of a sudden,
no
he doesn't
matter
have the
how
ability
old
to
he
defend
was,
himself.
if he was that powerful, he would have foreseen that, or you
defend
know, it's
himself
like
with a lightsaber at least.
Yeah, Vader grabs him and he goes, what the shit? No. Acrobat,
Well,
spin,
luckily
spin,
that-
acrobat,
that-
acrobat,
luckily
you're
spin,
mostly
spin.
machine, so if I turn my
No.
electric on you, you will die.
But
Like,
luckily, Lucas didn't think of that because he would have redone that whole scene with the
Oh,
all of a sudden
God,
being
then
a
you
duel
would-
versus Vader versus Emperor in the.
when
Jedi.
they're both like all of a sudden.
CGI flipping around.
So then when you saw the ghosts in the background at the end, it would not only be young Anakin, but Palpatine would be there, like, waving like
for
a
some
doof.
reason.
Yeah, that would have been worse.
And the whole
Sorry.
that whole thing with the ghost was stupid too, because the whole point is that it was a Jedi meditation to turn into that. That's why Obi-Wan stopped fighting. He had to concentrate to turn into a ghost. It wasn't like all of a sudden every time a Jedi dies he becomes a ghost, because there's a shit ton of Jedi ghosts running around. All those Jedi.
Hey guys. No, I was just. We saw doing. We did. We are
polishing.
Like
the knob.
Like, really. And same with Yoda. He had a chance to prepare. If you're just killed suddenly, you shouldn't get a chance to become a ghost. Or I think Vader was disconnected from the good side of the Force long enough that you shouldn't have been able to become a ghost.
But I think that was the point of the movies entirely.
redeemed,
His
yeah.
redemption at the end when he
but not
did
young
that.
Anakin, right?
No. Well, and that is I think we've discussed this.
You got really mad about that.
That
It
is.
flipped.
He was watching the third
Yeah,
one
yeah.
remastered for the first time ever,
Yeah.
and I didn't know he'd never seen it. So I would have prepped him like, "This is different. This is gonna be different." And he goes, "What the?" He starts- I'm like, I thought you knew this happened.
It took the scene that shows the redemption of him, Vader, what he could have been had he chose different paths.
Turned him into just a tool.
And they're like, "Oh no, they just." But why is Obi-Wan old then? Because why wouldn't he be young? Hey, Yoda's old. Why wouldn't he be young if there was a young for him? I don't know. But again, shouldn't it be a redeemed?
And I also like the
Vader.
idea. Remember when the original series first came out? You always assumed that Yoda was normal, and then as he aged, he became shrunken. Meanwhile, he was just shrunken the whole time. I like the idea of him being like virile at some point. You know,
Like
maybe short, but
at
still
about
virile.
at about 700, you start to see he's losing his hair.
He just gets shorter and squishy. And,
You know,
but he should have been virile. Maybe not tall, but virile at least.
Yeah, I'm 800, and I'm starting. I got some crow's feet going on here in my ears.
But meanwhile, he's just the same the whole time.
Yeah, but you see me go. I'm a little smoother, but just a little. But it's only 20 years. He was 900 years old.
Was
so,
he that old?
So maybe at one point he was virile, but
Yeah. Stupid.
no, it was shameful. Shameful. He didn't have... And Yoda, in the original movies, they were like samurai, where a sword stroke was thought about, and it was like when Obi-Wan and Vader fought. It was they stood there and all of a sudden
Shaolin monks.
they stood there and all of a sudden they both.
Or like
there was real,
wushu or like kung fu kind of.
but it was like
Planned.
each stroke could have been fatal, and
But
they
were just like hack, 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 hack.
in the first movies. They're like, well, the best tactic here would be to do a backflip, then a roundhouse kick. Then I think I'll get down and I'll spin my leg around so he jumps over it, and then I'll jump up and then he spins around.
Acrobatic.
And it's like, well,
No,
there's
but
no.
Obi-Wan's like attack method was just hack, 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 hack. That's how he attacked. You ever watch Obi-Wan fight in those scenes? Every single one, he's just like no style. He just like went hacky.
But that's how samurai fought, because each.
I love the verbs or the adjectives you're making up. Hitting and hacky.
That's
no,
each
but they
stroke
had-
was a killing stroke that
But no,
gets
he
blocked.
was more like when you fight somebody with Nerf weapons, and you just like. It's not like you pull it out, you kill somebody, put it back. They didn't do that.
No, but have you ever seen like the Bushidos? The when they take out the cane, that's how every
Are you
one.
talking about old Obi-Wan?
No, new Obi-Wan.
Oh,
In the
because I'm
prequels.
like old Obi-Wan.
No, they had a legitimate
Okay.
duel.
Yeah,
And it was there was tension. There was a feeling of dread. There were two masters there, and any superfluous. If one of them had decided, I'm going to turn my back to him in a flourish,
The guy
like
would
do a
have cut him in half.
it'd have been like, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Why you faggot? What were you doing?
yeah. Don't turn your back to the enemy.
Right.
A flip is not advantageous right now. There's two guys squaring off, and one of us is going to die.
I wonder where they...
Right, if you're on uneven ground and you got to get up to the higher ground, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, do
Jump
like a
up.
Do a
jump,
forced
do
jump and-
something. Right.
But then when you're there in arm's reach of a Sith Lord with a lightsaber, at no
I
point
do
is
like on... I don't know, what was it in? It might have been one of the fights or in the video games. When you're fighting, all of a sudden you do like force pushes and stuff, knock them back and shit like that. I think it's mostly in the video games. Like, that's cooler. But yeah, like you say, just random jumping and flipping for no reason.
with there's three of them in a coordinated.
The best thing is, yeah, if you have a lightsaber, which cuts things in half, someone tries to leg sweep you put your lightsaber down, he'll leg sweep his own leg off. Like,
And that's
And didn't Luke wasn't it the last one? He only did like a crazy power jump once.
Yeah.
Like there was like one time where it was like
and
necessary.
Vader kept force pushing him in that,
right,
too, I think.
but it wasn't just
And Vader
like
would whip things
"Ooh,
at him
look
and
at
stuff,
me, look
like-
how cool I am.
And they
like
basically-
it was a necessity
Yeah.
to get out of
You
harm's
got out of
way.
the way, yeah. Like, that's fine. I think using the force to jump and throw things and stuff. But, yeah, to do flips and stuff, there's no point.
No,
Especially when you have
just-
a weapon that you touch it, you're cutting whatever touched it off.
Right.
It's not like a sword where you can get away with a little tap.
it was a big change from what they determined
Yeah.
in there to the well choreographed
Like, I can see, like, someone like Darth Maul maybe be more like that.
one person,
Yeah.
and that's
That's
his
his
style.
shtick, yeah.
That's his shtick. Everyone else is like, okay, this is deadly serious, and
Yeah.
one guy's doing flips and stuff, and he's like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Just to
It's his
just to
flourishes.
psych out his enemies, like, woo,
Yeah.
woo,
No,
what
just
am I doing
like
now? And you'd be
or
like,
he's just like, yeah, he's acrobatic and he flourishes.
Right.
I'm crazy. I'm coming at you,
But
bro.
not everybody.
But
Like,
three
it's like
people
there must
fighting,
be like I'd
and
love
they're-
to see the academy room where they teach that. It's like there must be just like trampolines everywhere and like
a
Yeah.
zero gravity room.
yeah,
where
they're
it's
just like
woo.
okay,
Where
okay, kids, today you learn how to flip.
in the circus, you ever seen
With
them when
a
they train and they
lightsaber.
get that
Yeah.
thing around their waist and those big cables
Yeah.
and they start doing flips? Okay, now, so I'm going to be fighting the guy doing this? No. You're going to be fighting the guy with your master who's going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Choreographed
somehow you're going to
with
choreograph
him.
not slicing each other in half by mistake.
You'll both be leaping over each other.
Yeah.
It'll be crazy. It'll be cray-cray, but it'll work.
But that's the whole point. Like those weapons, it's not even like you can. Oh, I mistakenly hit your
Yeah.
sword. You mistakenly hit that guy's sword. You're getting a wound.
Right.
Like
Like tap.
you can't even
oh,
tap. Yeah,
Oh, did I just cut your leg off?
yeah.
Shit.
They're-
that wasn't
Not to mention,
planned
just
yet
having a
because we
lightsaber,
still had more flipping.
There should have been a lot more attacking of the arms.
Oh,
Instead of going like, I'm gonna hit you. You know when you're fighting someone, you're like doing sword
Right.
fighting. You smack him in the fucking hand. Like you do that lightsaber, he's losing his hand.
so when you see Obi-Wan, the old Obi-Wan and Vader square off, and they put the swords together, and they're just kind of like
Well, they
looking
were
at
having
you.
more of a mental duel.
And then all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
and then at one point, if one of them would have been like, "Woo, I'm gonna," the other one would be like, "There goes your hand."
Yeah.
Oh well, I
No
should have.
wasted
there
movement
goes
because any wasted movement's an open.
Right.
That's right.
That's
So I don't
like,
know
yeah.
where the style went
Yeah.
from
Yeah, I don't know. Flippy dippy.
Cantonese Saturday
because-
nights to
It's
samurai.
because between the first three and the second three, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
Yeah,
came out.
exactly.
I'm
And it
guessing.
became
yeah.
all about flipping onto
Yeah.
treetops
Mhm.
and
Oh, for sure, that's exactly where the influence was.
oh yeah, blatantly,
Well,
blatant.
Shameful.
I blame also probably the choreographers, not so much because I'm sure Lucas didn't say I want this. He just was like, "Hey, make us look cool," and the choreographers like, "Let's do the craziest shit we can because we want to make it look wicked." And they think
Yeah,
it's-
but as the director, he could have gone,
no.
whoa,
well,
whoa,
that's
whoa,
how that's a real
let's
director decides.
rein it in.
Did you
like-
see the first movies? Because we got to kind of make the
Or-
kind of
like
they
the
got to be
real,
the
like,
same.
that's-
Let's
see, like-
pretend lightsabers are swords that are on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that.
Well, that's the
Let's-
difference between someone who can direct a movie or someone who just like has other people do things for him,
right,
and just claims
and
he's
just
a director.
goes, sits in a chair and goes, yeah, action,
He doesn't even say action.
cut.
No, that's a joke about Lucas. He never even said action. He had someone else say action and cut for him. He never even said that. He never even did that. He never even said action
What
and
a
cut.
waste.
And there's jokes. There was parts where he didn't say cut, so they're all like, just all the actors like looking around. Oh yeah, you're done. like he's such a bad director.
It'd be funny during the filming, like when they're using those yardsticks as like just markers for the the swords, and they keep hitting each other because they're like, psh, psh, oh, this is such hard choreography. You know, this. This one was like, you know what? If that was a real lightsaber, like you'd all be dead already, and you're just starting, like you're just doing your fancy startup moves here. You know, maybe no.
It's a I blame the choreographers, I should say, for the fight choreographers, because they just went crazy. Like you say, they saw Crouching Tiger and thought that was cool.
They were like,
instead of doing what you said, make it realistic and be like, these are two masters fighting each other. They don't need to do all these flourishes. They're just gonna fight. And
at least make it mesh up with what's canon. Those are dangerous weapons, not. You know, not.
You have to make it exciting.
Not the ball on the end of the. Not the ribbon in the Olympics where you're doing gymnastics. Where it's just like you make all these things in the air and you do a split.
Although if I had a lightsaber, I'd probably write my name in the air all the time.
If you had a lightsaber, wouldn't you fucking put it on like an end of a chain and just go whoosh? Like, you couldn't stop that. You can't stop a chain flicking at you. Like,
well, unless someone else with a lightsaber just like cut the chain and your lightsaber into a wall.
Then you just force it back to me. Even so, like that initial attack, especially if you weren't expecting it, all of a sudden it's like on a horde. And you're just like, okay, or even use the force to throw it.
Yeah, you're carefully moving in. Okay. And the guy just goes. And it's like,
how do you stop that? I guess you could try to reflect it, but like.
Well, that's what. And my thing was when Yoda did fight Palpatine, which I don't think he should have fought him. Yeah. It would have been better if Yoda
never touched the lightsaber.
Yoda had a little mini lightsaber too, which didn't make sense.
No, that was Homo. But if a full-size lightsaber was out in front of him, like,
and he never touched it,
you would have just sat there just casually, maybe even a smirk on his face.
Yeah, just fought it like that. Man. That would have been cool.
And
he's not physical.
No, look, I'm an old man.
Neither of them are. Palpatine or...
Just like Palpatine shouldn't ever use a lightsaber, Yoda should never have been physical.
No.
Like when he's fighting Dooku and he's jumping around.
No.
That should have been for the Dooku fight.
Well, and the whole scene where the whole scene in the Senate where he's like jumping from the you're just going, when
Why
did we
so
ever
spry?
see this?
Yeah.
Like 30 years later, he's on his deathbed.
Yeah, he's that close to death, and like,
but he's like Jack said, he's 900 years old. 30 years and 900 is nothing.
Year. Yeah, he's a year from death in 5 years, or human years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's so spry, he's hopping up and shit.
Right, and that's where I'm going. Neither of these men in the next movie would have been able to support themselves like this. Yeah. Like this is totally illogical.
Yeah, it makes not much sense.
I mean, if at one point they had paused so they could each go like, my heart, you know, you'd go, oh God.
It should have been more of a philosophical duel. They should have been like,
it should have been.
Yoda should have been toting why the good side of the Force, the light side is good, and Palpatine saying what dark side.
Because it didn't need to be physical.
And just have a mental duel instead. But that would have been too hard to write for Lucas.
And at one point, like, one of them, like, because there was always those blue guys with the horns that were with
tries
Palpatine.
To do something.
Yeah, he's like, I could take care of this guy right now. He's nothing. Look at the little shit.
And then he goes for it, and then Yoda
and even...
No, this isn't about violence.
Even Palpatine using the electrical beams that he
Force lightning
had, you know? But then Yoda could have, like... done because they did that where he's like,
or at the very beginning they both
he
tries to zap him. Yoda deflects it. He's like, okay, I'm not going to fight you physically. There's no point.
Sure, like if you had seen some of that where it's like, okay, these are two well-matched men.
It should have been a reason to show the dark side and light side, explain it a little bit more, and why.
Perfect time to narrate that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
You could have had them both explain why their side is right and why
they were both fighting so hard to keep Anakin on their side.
Yeah,
I mean, just
explain something.
And at some point they could
instead they just threw in a fight.
Like you said, like he arranges it so that he doesn't have to fight Yoda. They're walking through people somehow, and they're
so
just walking side by side.
Yeah.
People looking outward would go like, "Oh, they're just talking."
Things,
And meanwhile, he's saying,
fight,
"Well, I'm bringing order."
It's a mental duel.
As soon as I take care of all these
Once again,
filthy
too hard
animals.
for them to write.
Can we make that scene? Because I want to see that scene.
I know,
I want to
exactly.
see the scene where they're walking through a crowd and they can't fight each other. They physically cannot
Because
do
if
it.
Yoda attacks him, he looks like the bad
villain.
guy.
And he's
And he can't break his...
He's not going to show himself to be the bad guy.
he's got to
Fight
be the
Yoda.
emperor.
So
the good
Yoda's
guy.
saying, no, we're the good guys. We can do this with the
Because
Force.
didn't
we
they
can do
just
this,
vote
this,
him
this,
into
this.
the emperor at that
Yeah,
point?
I think so, yeah.
To be the emperor?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm bringing
Jar
order.
Jar.
We're going to get rid of all this.
You saw good stuff.
People will be clothed and fed.
Yeah.
Well, how
Yoda,
Yoda? How can
order
you,
to the
I'm
world.
sorry, I will never do that
how
voice
can you
again.
argue against that? Well, you're doing it by imposing. You're being a fascist. Well, if you're
The ends don't... The
Right.
means
Yeah.
don't meet the ends. And,
well, they'll have full bellies and jobs, and
Yeah,
how is that bad?
or even more philosophical, like, the dark side's more powerful than the light side, because
Uh-huh.
we can do what the fuck they want, and the light side, like, good guys always win, you know.
And agree to disagree,
And at the end,
leaving as, like...
And at the end, Yoda's...
as the,
yeah,
like
just
the good guys come in to escort him out, and the bad guys come in to escort him out, and there's like this like quick exchange of,
Yeah.
is
Or
this
even
gonna
like
get
just
ugly?
as Yoda finally gets a chance to like take him out, all of a sudden Order 66 and all stormtroopers charging
Right.
and going after Yoda. Yoda has to escape.
or they just have to part one way. Okay, you're going your way. I'm going
as
my
they're
way.
like
Next time I
backing away
see,
from each other because you can't turn your back to each other.
next time we see each other, it's not going to be like this. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I'm running the show.
There's
Have been
millions
for
of ways
about
to end
20
it, but you
years.
don't have to. There's no violence. You don't need
Right.
violence to have a good fight.
Well, and yeah, because they really shouldn't have. Those are two
They're two
characters
characters
that
not
have
physical.
never ever
Yeah.
fought at this point.
Yoda's never had a lightsaber. He always
Right.
had his little staff.
Yeah.
Right. We've never seen them fight, so why make them
Why all
have
of a
this
sudden they're-
epic
yeah.
duel? You know,
Stupid,
it's
yeah.
stupid. Yeah, when they were both
Because
younger.
Lucas thinks that all
but when
Jedi
they
have
were-
to be fighters.
But when they were both younger, they probably did have to
Well,
like
whatever.
earn their keep and like show that they could do
But
it.
not
sure.
even because Sidious was never a Jedi. He was just some dude. Like he never had to fight. Like he's always been political. Like it's his thing. Jedis and Sith don't have to be fighters. That's the point. They don't have to be duelists. Like they're different characters, right? Like not everybody is good with a lightsaber. You've got other powers, you know. Some of them are good at meditating and like seeing the future. Or some are good at, tactics or whatever because they can see the whole battlefield at once. Or you don't have. Not everybody has to have a lightsaber and be able to be ninjas with lightsabers. Like it makes no. There's no way a whole group would be like that. You know, like.
Certainly not the wise and old like.
Like you say, maybe when they're younger they trained.
Yeah,
with
maybe
things. Jedi
because-
makes more sense.
Because
but-
I think they'd have to at some point.
The Jedi
It's
makes more sense
It's like
that way, yeah.
the top generals in the
But
army,
even then, like-
had to train at some point to do combat.
But it's like that's like saying sure, like
It doesn't
everybody
mean
in the
they'll
army
ever do
goes
it
through
again.
boot camp, but
Right.
guys who are doing like the surveillance or don't know how to use an M60, like
Right.
it's totally different things, right? Like
And Yoda aged 600, probably a badass at some point. Probably had to do his.
maybe not. Maybe he was always.
You're stuck on this 900, so like even at 700,
Yeah, like
even at
got a
700,
little
he's
kick.
getting out there.
a little
Yeah,
vim and
But
vigor.
I'm saying, like, at 600, he's probably still a badass, but you got a couple hundred more years to go. Like, I'm slowing down.
But even so, like
I'm
even
really-
then, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was always a teacher. Like, you know,
Oh, that's
some
true.
people
Right.
are trainers, not fighters, right?
But
Like,
I'm
Right.
saying, like,
some guys are like drill sergeants.
you had
That-
to you had to train Luke with lightsaber, so he had to have some training
Well,
himself.
yeah.
But I
Just
do
because you know how
think
to do it,
But he
doesn't mean
actually,
you're good
but
at
he
it, right?
didn't actually teach him that much
Yoda
in
didn't
the way of
teach anybody
fighting
else.
skills.
He taught the little kids.
That was more Obi-Wan sitting there
Yeah.
with that orb thing
Yeah.
that was like shooting
Luke,
at
yeah,
him.
yeah.
That was Luke's training with a lightsaber. Like you never really saw him like
Luke.
have to do
Once again, Luke should never even held his own that well against Vader.
no.
As well as he did, should not. Maybe Vader was playing with him because.
Well,
Yeah,
Vader
he
was
has no
probably going
fighting
soft
training.
on him because he knew that was his son, and he was
Yeah,
probably
'cause-
like,
Well, I guess he
Ah.
did chop off his arm when he wanted to.
yeah,
But-
because he probably thought, "I'll teach you a lesson. Please don't come back."
Tough love. I'm gonna chop your hand off. It's tough love. But I guess it makes sense that Vader was playing with him because Luke has no training in
No,
fighting.
Obi-Wan.
Sure, he's a
two
good
old
pilot.
men. Two old men have taught him.
But even
how
then,
to
not
fight.
never fighting though. Like
Yeah.
you said, he's defending with that laser thing. He
Yeah.
can defend, but he never learned how to attack. Like
Mm-mm.
that's like saying like you give me a sword and I can all of a sudden know how to fight.
No.
I don't know how to fight with a sword. Like,
Right.
I can swing it.
Especially if someone goes,
Especially put me up against a world class duelist. Like, there's no fucking way.
you could be taught by the
fencer,
best
yeah.
to defend. Okay, here, parry, 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 parry,
But
parry.
even then, like,
Then someone comes and go, okay, now you're gonna fight him, and you'd be like, parry, parry,
Even
parry,
then, like-
parry, parry. Okay, I'm kind of holding my own.
I might be able to stop 2 or 3 shots, but a fencer's gonna stab me pretty fucking quick
Yeah.
because they know the moves.
And you go like, hey, I spent 2 weeks teaching you how to parry. You can't
Yeah.
even. Oh, gee, you're useless.
But I guess Vader was just playing with him. But yeah, because they never taught him to fight. They taught him how to use the Force, how to lift things, how to do that. But he never really used
And
it.
how to meditate and how to,
Center yourself and
sure,
clear your mind.
which are all necessary for him to succeed.
But
I get that, but
he never used it like his lifting. Like Luke never lifted anything
I think
except for when he was
moved.
Well, didn't he?
He sucked the thing.
He got his lightsaber.
Yeah.
but
from
he never
Tristan.
threw
that-
anything. he
Thank
never-
you for getting that. That was what that meant.
Yes, and he did. He did do some jumps and stuff to get back
Yeah.
into the. But I think he was out of
It
his.
was all pretty ineffectual.
Yes.
I think Vader basically treated him like a bitch,
Yeah.
and it was
Right.
pretty
He
obvious
played with
that
him
he was
until the
well
end.
out
He
of
chopped
his.
his hand off. And in the second fight, he played with him until he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to kill my own son." 'cause he had him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Right,
sense.
but he did. He fought him like
Look at that was
Oh.
subtle. That was subtlety in the
Oh.
original movies. Where was that in the
No, but
prequels?
do you really think that was intended? I doubt it was even intended.
Maybe
it was
not,
probably
yeah,
meant to
yeah.
be like these are like some epic battles.
Yeah.
But seriously, Luke at one point his fighting is double-handed, just
Exactly,
like
just-
ah
yeah.
ah ah.
When he's losing control, yeah.
yeah,
I
it's-
think-
there's no actual
Yeah, there's no
skill there.
Yeah, there's no skill involved.
I think it is pretty.
And Vader's like get off me, kid. You know.
Well, it was just like the intensity of the attack, I guess, was pushing him back.
It was the power of the Force. They said that he was so powerful that.
And he was embracing the evil at that point, which was making him even more powerful. Which
So
another
it's-
thing doesn't make sense how the Jedi could even survive against the Sith ever, since the dark side is so much more powerful than the light side.
Right, because hate, anger, these are all things that
You would need to-
seriously
Help when you're
you
fighting.
can't as a human. I mean, well, it's like you said, they're more honorable, but like
Well, they're trying to
you'd
be
have
like
to be-
monks. I guess,
you'd have to
but-
be almost 100% pure of heart for
Well,
that not
look how
to
well the
come
Tibetan
into
monks
it.
did against the Chinese army. That's all I'm saying. If the Chinese army is the Sith, there's not much chance. The only reason they stopped is because it was bad PR.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys, back up. We're gonna, That guy's setting himself on fire for Christ's sake.
It's bad
I'm
PR.
feeling
That's the
bad.
only reason they stopped.
Like I'm.
But that's the same with the Sith, because the Sith used to be just as many as the Jedi. There's no way the Sith would have lost.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
they-
See, I didn't know that. I
They'll
thought it
do
was
anything just as good. They'll do
one
anything
master,
to
one
win.
apprentice, and that was
I
it.
guess the only thing, internal
Right.
strife would be the only thing that would stop them. They'd be fighting amongst themselves so much, where the Jedi would be more together, but even so.
Yeah, even so,
You think
as
that they stick it
any
to-
human, and I don't care if you're a monk. I don't care what it is. There's always going to be a part of you that you have to constantly fight within yourself, like that hate, anger.
Well,
I
that's
got-
enlightenment, right? That's the
I
point.
got a will from a woman I don't even know, and granted, I'm very grateful for the money she left me, but it's not like I'm like over it. It's not like I'm like all is forgiven. You know, I mean, there's always going to be a constant
Yeah.
anger there. Not, and it doesn't govern my life, but it's always there. So
That's where the meditation.
Yeah, I think
and
you're-
the-
yes,
more
because I'm a
sentient, but they never
patient
showed that,
enough
though.
person to sit and meditate.
But they never showed that for the Jedi. They never
they
showed
had a chance in the prequels.
Yeah.
They
Damn it! The wasted opportunities they had with these movies.
No.
when
Sure.
when Anakin's like, you know what, I'm feeling these things. I go, well,
Somebody should have like had a counselor almost.
yeah,
Right.
Your training is going to erase that because we're going to show you how to just.
Go sit
And maybe
in
he
the,
doesn't do it.
the
Maybe-
silent pod and
Yeah.
just sit.
And maybe like instead of meditating, he's thinking about the reason it's not working is because he's thinking about Padme too
Right.
much, or it's ruining his meditation by.
They show about
because
60
he
Jedi.
he shouldn't be married to begin with.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't.
Or even before he was married, just hey, you should be concentrating. Hey, you'll get rid of all this hate. Just relax. And meanwhile, he's sitting there trying to relax, and all these
There's
things.
a
He's
classroom
thinking about the
of
chickie.
about 60 Jedi,
He's like hot
It's the
girl,
bitches
and
that
hot
it
girl.
goes into his head, and it's
It's just he keeps thinking
and you
just about
just
her.
see that, and it comes out.
And
and-
instead of being centered and thinking about nothing, which is the whole point of meditation, he gets distracted, and then it doesn't work. Right?
You see him. You see him with like a scowl on his face as it pans out of what he was thinking
Because
about.
he made a scowl on his
And
face through the entire.
Well,
And
we need a better actor.
And he's just like, you can see there's emotion there, and then it pans back, and you just see everyone
Everybody
else
else
is very
is
serene,
yeah.
and it's just like, hey, he's not getting it.
That's the
working.
face he made for 2 movies straight.
Well, he was an emo bitch. That's
He
why.
was a whiny bitch,
Oh,
for
God,
sure.
I hated that part.
Well, there you have it. And in the end, we've solved all the Star Wars problems. Or at least we were so drunk we thought we did. We're sorry. See you next time.
So, Rob,
Yes, Jack?
have you heard of something called Finland Old Time Radio?
No, I haven't.
Well, you should. And how would you be able to tell your friends and family about such an excellent radio program?
I have no idea.
By wearing swag. Swag that has the logo, has the name, prominently displayed, very, very nice looking apparel.
Where'd you get this swag?
Where would you find that swag?
Well, if I was setting up a website,
And you
it'd be
did?
Cafe Press because it's easy. So it'd be cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.
we could say slash, but I think you might enunciate a little bit better and give us that website one more time, champ.
cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.
Buy some of the apparel, the knickknacks, the accoutrement, if you will.
Patty wax.
Patty wax. I don't know what that means. But accoutrement is an appropriate use of that word. So
Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone, Jack. We're the dogs, give us the bone.
who let the dogs out? Oof, oof, oof. Okay, no.
That's not a good ad, no.
No.
cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.